Namaste. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program this evening. I'm so glad you're able to join us. And what we were talking about then, of course, was how the practices, these are Shakti practices, and they come from this tradition where that living presence of the divine within each and every one of us is recognized, and we draw on that innate power in order to shift out of the ordinary mind. Because frankly, without a power beyond the mind, we would never get free of the mind. The mind can't free itself. No more than we could jump over our own shadow. So we need to draw on that power, and it's innate. It's within each and every one of us. So in the yoga tradition, it's called Kundalini Shakti. The power of revelation and transformation, the innate power of grace that opens the door to the direct knowing, the direct perception of who and what we are beyond the mind. And so when we do practices like chanting, we're going to be chanting in a little bit, and mantras are the sound form of the infinite, the sound form of the divine. When we chant a mantra, we want to hold that understanding, because one of the things we have to have the kind of mental discipline to recognize is that the ordinary mind makes things ordinary. It makes even something as extraordinary as mantra, Shakti, this pure living divine presence. So honored and revered that, when I've lived in India, we would, before you chanted, you would scrape your tongue and brush your teeth and rinse your mouth, because you're going to have the divine dancing on your tongue as you chanted mantra. That kind of practice brings home, keeps us mindful. So many practices and rituals are about keeping the mind aware, because the ordinary mind just slides into its ordinariness and makes everything ordinary, meaning limited, bound, small, contracted. So it thinks of mantra, it goes, oh, it's just another word, just something that's repeated. No, real mantra is a throb of the infinite, a gift of the infinite to this finite vehicle of mind and body, to draw it back into direct knowing. That's what we've been seeking for lifetimes. That's what's brought us here this evening. That's what brings us to practices, whatever different practices or different traditions we engage in. It's all because there's a part of us that has that longing. That longing comes from grace itself. That longing is an expression of the gift of the divine, saying, it's time to come back. You've explored, taking on forms for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, for eons after eons after eons. It's time to come back home, to rest in the divine embrace, the embrace of your own sublime self. So mantra is one of the foundational practices for being able to attune us to that, because it's a power that goes beyond words. The ordinary mind, it's born of words. It's called matrika shaktis, these little power of words to create realities. Well, we need something that's beyond ordinary mind, ordinary thoughts, beyond philosophies, beyond even the highest teachings. That's why the yogis and saints and sages of so many traditions relied on the power of sacred sound, because it comes from beyond the mind. It's not mind-born. Mantra is already reverberating, throbbing, pulsing within you. So we're really attuning the mind to this river of grace through the Sushumna Nadi, this magnificent river of Shakti that connects the infinite transcendent to the most earthly domain of the Muladhara chakra. It's alive with the throb of mantra. Om arising and throbbing through there. Om turns into, soham or hamsa. The one becomes two, the two become many, becomes all the sounds of the mantras. They all reverberating there. But you can't hear it yet. Why? because the mind has become so gross in connection with the outer gross reality. It takes time to become attuned. It takes time to become repeatedly immersed in the Shakti of mantra so we can have that living awareness of our sublime divine presence all the time. It's always here. The question is, why aren't we always aware of it? Oh, that's because of the nature of mind. But the Shakti of mantra, the Shakti of practices, the Shakti of Kundalini yoga in its ancient form is what transforms the mind. So now it's both fully in touch with your infinite self and only acts in accord with that, only acts in service of that, in service of the highest, in service of what Buddha called the four immeasurables, right? The boundless loving compassion, the boundless wisdom, the unshakable equanimity, and the boundless rapturous joy. The yogis called it Satchidananda. Same thing. That's our true nature. That's the best that words can point towards. We want the full-blown experience of that, not concepts, not words. They're no substitute whatsoever. And the royal path to that is dissolution in mantra. Right? Starts out perhaps out loud or spoken softly. Then we take it in. Then it's just the silent repetition over and over again till we start to discover it's repeating itself. We're starting to become attuned to the living presence of the divine as Shakti, as consciousness, as that living presence, here and now, always here and now. That's the gift of mantra. Then mantra dissolves even the word and sound forms as it dissolves the mind completely. And now we're just in this field of the light of awareness, the light of grace. This field that's suffused with that love. This field that recognizes no other. Oh, it sees itself and embraces it with pure love. That's what we're given. That's what we're capable of. That's how we can live in this world. So we need to go into that, become immersed in that, and then walk it into our everyday lives. It's always present. It's here no matter what we're doing. Everyday task, everything. So we only do sort of segregated, isolated practices because the poor mind needs that in order to get fully immersed in it. In the same way, you have to get in the bathtub to wash off the dirt, right? But that doesn't mean you can't walk around clean and shiny all the time, right? So this is what we do. We can become immersed in the practices to wash off the barriers, the inner barriers to seeing the truth of who we are and who every being is. All of creation, the unfolding of the divine in this time, in this space. And it's so desperately needed now. That's part of what they're hearing, the cries of the suffering of all beings, is hearing that what needs to happen is people need to become awake to this level of being so we can live together in this loving, harmonious, uplifting each other, caring for each other, looking out for each other. That's what we're capable of doing. And that's what the practices, when they attune us to our highest self, empower us to walk that knowing, that vision into the world and transform this poor suffering world. That's what we're doing. All that is happening automatically just as you sit and do mantra, just as you sit and repeat the names of the infinite, calling upon your own sublime self to be fully present so that the mind can know that and live from that alone. Live from that alone. Not live from the ignorance that keeps it saying, oh, I want this, I need this, I don't have this, I wish I had that, I wish I could get rid of this. That's all the limited mind. We want freedom from that. We want to live in that freedom. And we want to revel in that freedom with all beings. We want to celebrate the divine nature of everyone and everything. That's what is opened by the power of grace, the power that is inherent in mantra. So we're going to chant for a bit. We're just going to chant the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Means I bow to the infinite, the divine, the auspicious one. Om Namah Shivaya, your own self. But more important than the meaning is it is a throb of the infinite. It is a carrier wave of that pure knowing. It is a vehicle that can take the mind back to source and dissolve it in that. So that when it reemerges, it's been transfigured. It's becoming transparent to the light and love that is your nature, that is yourself. You live that into the world wherever you are, whatever you do. That's the power of the practices, because they originate from this innate power of the divine within. So we're going to chant Om Namah Shivaya for a few minutes, and then we're just going to sit in that stillness, in that silence afterwards. Shri Mata Kali Mandevi Ki Jai. Om Namah Just resting in the awareness. And awareness is self-luminous. The light of awareness is the living presence of your sublime self. Meditation, letting go of all doing, letting go of all the doing of mind, all the doing of body, to just simply bask in that radiance, that inner radiance. It has illumined every thought, every breath, every beat of your heart, your entire life, your entire existence, illumined, enlivened, graced by that presence. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. I bow to the luminous one, the auspicious one, our own self, the divine. It's all there is. Rest in that light. Keep shifting your attention away from what's illumined and shift it to what's illuminating it all. Ah, the living presence of the One. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Rest there. We end with this prayer. And may all our practices truly benefit everyone. And may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Om Namah Shivaya. Coming home to the truth of who you are, your sublime, infinite nature. That encompasses all. Encompasses your body and your mind. What's their origin? What's their source? The projections of the infinite into the domain of the finite. Still divine. All beings are that. So when we get to know both, we know the divine nature of the individual, and we know their source is the infinite. That the light of awareness, the light of consciousness in every being is that living presence, whether they know it or not. You know that. Om Namah Shivaya. To everyone. To everything. What if silently you walk through the day? Just go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Let it transform your vision. Let it transform every thought in the mind. Let it transform the eyes so that they see the one everywhere and delight in that. Love that. Treat that as your own self with love, compassion, kindness. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So with all my heart, with all my love, I thank you for coming this evening and bringing your divine, sublime presence and sharing it with the group, sharing it with the world. Thank you for being ones who do practices, who keep coming home to the truth of who you are, so you can bring the light of that into our world that is suffering so in darkness. They need everyone's light blazing. They need your light blazing. So stay attuned with your highest sublime nature. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.